Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into the incredible evolution of a true development powerhouse. We're talking about a journey from the golden age of the desktop all the way into the complex, multi-device world we live in today. It's a really cool story about adaptation, power, and of course, performance.
All right, let's kick things off with a question that, pretty much every developer has thought about. What if you could build your app just one time with one set of code and have it run beautifully on Windows, Android, and iOS? And look, I'm not talking about some slow, clunky web page in a wrapper. I mean a genuinely fast, super responsive app that feels like it was tailor-made for each device.
And that's really the big question we're tackling here. We're going to look at how this legendary tool, Delphi, completely reinvented itself to solve this exact problem. The massive challenge of creating high-performance native apps for a world that doesn't just live on one operating system anymore.
All right, so to really get this, we've got to go back in time a little. For a long, long time, if you were building a screaming fast, powerful app for Microsoft Windows, Delphi was it. It was your go-to. Its Visual Component Library, the VCL, was just the gold standard. It let developers visually build these incredibly complex interfaces at lightning speed.
Yeah, this quote pretty much nails it. For a whole generation of coders, Delphi just meant performance on Windows. It was the tool that let you build amazing, visually rich apps with incredible speed because it compiled straight to machine code. And that heritage of performance? That's the foundation for everything that came next.
But then, well, everything changed. That world of just one desktop screen, it just blew up into a ton of different devices. All of a sudden, developers needed their apps to run not just on a PC, but on iPhones, on Android tablets. The list just kept growing. And they all had different screen sizes, different rules, and different user expectations. It was a huge, huge challenge.
So, what did Delphi do? They didn't just slap a Band-Aid on the problem. This wasn't just some stretched-out version of their old library. No way. They created FireMonkey, or FMX. This was a brand new framework, built from scratch, specifically for this new multi-device world, with two things at its core: looking great and running fast. And while this picture just shows you everything, on the left, you've got that classic desktop app from the old days, right? One target. But on the right, that's the new FireMonkey reality. You design a master view once, and that becomes a native Windows app and a native Android app, all from the same code, the same project. Okay, so the big question is, how does FireMonkey do this? Without making the app feel weird or clunky on different devices. Well, it's all about their UI playbook, which is actually pretty clever.
So FMX basically gives you two powerful choices. First, you can use what are called styled controls. This is perfect if you want a custom, pixel-perfect look that's exactly the same everywhere. Great for branding. Or you can go the other route and wrap the platform's actual native controls. That means your app on an iPhone uses the real iOS button, and on Android it uses the real Android button. It guarantees that 100% familiar feel for your users.
And here's the really cool part. They make it super simple. A lot of the time, it's literally just flipping a switch on a single property called control type. With just one setting, a developer can decide whether to use a custom FMX style or the real native OS control. To actually manage all this, the tools you have are just everything. And this thing right here, the multi-device preview, it's a total game changer. It lets you see right there as you're designing how your single UI is going to look and adapt on a small iPhone, a big Android tablet, and a Windows desktop all at once. It just takes all the guesswork out of it. But look, a pretty UI is useless if the app is slow, right? Performance is everything. This is where we get into the engine room and where Delphi really delivers on that promise of rendimiento de clase nativa. We're talking true native class speed that goes way beyond just how the app looks. Especially on mobile. Man, the fight for performance never ends. You're always fighting against stuff like jank, that horrible stutter when you're trying to scroll. It's often because you're doing too much on the main UI thread. And as you can see from Android's own developer guides, things like slow data access or inefficient layouts can just kill an app's experience. So how does Delphi actually deliver that native level speed? Well, it's kind of like a three-part strategy. First off, it compiles straight to the metal, to native machine code. There's no virtual machine or interpreter slowing things down. Second, it uses super fast frameworks like FireDAC for optimized data access. And third, it has great multi-threading support, so you can push heavy tasks to the background and keep your UI perfectly smooth.
And it's not just the compiler. The whole ecosystem is built for performance. Think about tools like this one, Pascal Analyzer. It's like having a code inspector looking over your shoulder.
It scans your code and flags potential memory leaks or slowdowns before they ever become a real problem. It's all about building quality in from the start.
But wait, a truly native app isn't just about looking good and running fast. It has to feel like it belongs on the device, like it's a real part of the operating system.
And this is another spot where FireMonkey really comes through. Instead of walling you off from the phone's hardware, it connects you right to it. You get easy access to stuff like the camera, GPS, all the Bluetooth sensors, system notifications, the user's address book, you name it.
And this is the perfect example. So you're looking at an app made with Delphi and FireMonkey. And when the user hits share, the app isn't faking it. It's not drawing its own version of the share dialog. It's making a direct call to the OS and popping up the real native iOS share sheet. That is what we mean by true platform integration.
So, when you add all this up, the flexible UI, that compiled native performance, and the deep platform integration, what you end up with is a really complete, really powerful solution for the kinds of problems developers are facing right now.
This basically lays out the whole modern workflow. So you start by designing your UI with all the visual tools, then you write your main logic just once. After that, you hook into whatever platform services you need, and then you hit compile, and Delphi spits out fast native apps ready to go to the App Store, Google Play, and the Windows Store, all from that one single project.
And this quote really gets to the heart of it. It's not just about developing fast, and it's not just about raw performance. The real magic here is that you get both of those things at the same time without having to make a big compromise.
So that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. In a world that's just jam-packed with different frameworks, all of them promising to let you build for multiple platforms, maybe, just maybe, the ultimate competitive advantage, the thing that matters most for your app and your users, is pure, raw, compiled native speed. What do you guys think?